This video will show you how to replace the radiator on a Chrysler Town Country. This will be located across the front of your engine compartment. Let's get into it. Okay friend, let's get started on our job. Now the radiator is located along the front of the engine compartment. The first thing we have to do is drain our radiator coolant. One thing I need to mention is you never want to open the cooling system if the engine and the cooling system is hot. It will be under pressure. Ours is cool, so I'm going to take hold of the radiator cap. I'll be pressing it down and turning it counterclockwise. Go ahead and remove that cap. We'll give it a quick inspection, make sure it is still reusable. This looks good. We'll set it aside. Now in that same area, along the top of the radiator, we have our coolant overflow hose leading along the top of our cooling fan. We're going to separate that from the radiator, take hold of the hose, just give it a quick twist, slide it out and away. Double check to make sure it's still in good usable order. We're going to pull it up and away from our fan shroud as well. That should just slide right up and out of place. Now let's start removing that reservoir from the fan assembly. For this, I'm using a flat blade screwdriver. I'm coming down in between the reservoir and the fan. There's just one locking tab. Once you have this gently pried away, you should be able to lift up on that reservoir. As we lift it up, we just want to make sure we're not getting caught on anything. As I can see, I do have some wiring here. Just going to take that hose, we'll slide it out from behind here. And now we can lift this up and out of place. A quick inspection of that overflow bottle and we'll set it aside. Now in the same area that we just removed our coolant reservoir from, if you were to make your way all the way down along the fan assembly towards the bottom driver's side corner of the radiator, in this area, typically you're going to find that you have a red knob that you can turn counterclockwise to drain the coolant. Of course, you would want to have a collection receptacle under here so you can collect and recycle all that fluid. Our plug is broken, so I'm going to have to remove the coolant in a different way. Typically for you, just go ahead and turn that counterclockwise. Now, since on my application, my drain plug is broken, I'm going over towards the passenger side. This is where I can see my lower radiator hose. I have my collection receptacle under here. Now, as far as removing this lower radiator hose, I'm going to squeeze the clamp. We'll carefully slide the hose out of position. There will be coolant in this area. Of course, if you already drained your coolant from that drain plug, you should not have much coolant in this area. Now after draining the coolant and removing the lower radiator hose, we're going to remove the upper radiator hose next. This is along the top driver's side of the radiator. We'll squeeze the clamp, we can slide the hose out of position. Quick inspection of that hose, soft and pliable. We'll set it aside. Now we can start removing the fan itself. To remove the fan, the first thing we have to do is deal with our electrical wiring harness and its connectors. Now I'm starting along the driver's side. In this area, there should be a plastic clip that slides into our fan assembly. I can see that the plastic clip is already broken. Looks like somebody used a wire tie. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut that wire tie. For you, typically you can just pry that out of place. Now it's time for the electrical connector. If you were looking closely at this electrical connector, you're going to find that you have a red locking tab. Dislodge that and then squeeze in on the next locking tab and pull it out of place. So for this, I'm just using a small pocket screwdriver. We'll pull that up. Now I can squeeze in on the next tab. There's our red locking tab. The next tab is just beneath it. Just a quick inspection for corrosion, of course. And let's do the same exact thing for the next one. This is making our way towards the passenger side. Now this one I can pry out of place. Same process for this electrical connector. No corrosion. Go ahead and set that wiring aside. Now at this point, we can start removing the fan from the radiator itself. If you are looking along either side of the fan and the radiator, up along the top of the radiator, you're going to find that you have a squeezable tab. You can squeeze that forward. When you do that, that will unlock the fan. You should be able to lift it up. Looking down along the fan, you're going to find that each side will also have a lower mounting point. There really isn't too much to worry about here, in exception of making sure it's properly aligned during the installation process. Now with that said, I'm going to press in on my locking tab on the top, and I'll gently lift up on this side of the fan. Now that I have that partially dislodged, I'm going over to the other side. I'll repeat this exact same process, and we should be able to lift this up and out of here. Staying along the passenger side of the radiator, we can see where we have our AC lines. Now we need to dismount these from the radiator. There's a 10mm bolt holding this in place. There's that bolt, and it's free. Perfect. Moving along, we have to remove the upper radiator mounting point here. For that, let's start with the grill. Along each side of the grill, you're going to find that you have the same hardware. We have a push clip along each side to remove the push clip. Carefully remove the center, and then you should be able to remove the outer portion. Now, once you've done that, looking inside this area, there's a 10mm bolt down in here. We can remove that. This one right here. Now let's make our way over towards the headlight. We have a 10mm bolt holding the bumper cover in place. Now we can start pulling this away. This is going to be fairly difficult to see, but straight down in this area, there's another 10mm headed mounting bolt. Let's remove that. Let's get this one. Couple more 10mm bolts on this side. Now let's repeat the process on the other side. Okay, so I got the hardware out both sides. We can start removing this. Now keep in mind you will still have a hood release cable making its way across. So I'm just going to go ahead and dislodge this bar. I'm lifting up on this area here. We'll set this aside. Now looking along the top corners of the radiator, typically you're going to find that you have a rubber mount on each side. As I come over towards the passenger side, we have a plastic portion as well that needs to be removed. You can slide that up and off of here. We'll remove that rubber portion just as I did on the driver's side. You can set all that aside. Up along the top center, we have this seal. Give that a quick inspection. You will be reusing it. Set it aside. Let's take hold of our grill. We're going to carefully pull it forward. Now in this area, we can see our AC condenser and our radiator. Along each corner, you're going to find that you have a mounting point. Now what we need to do is there's actually two small ears directly in the center of this area. You want to squeeze the two together, and then you should be able to separate the AC condenser from that radiator. So I'm just going to carefully reach in. I'll squeeze those tabs. And now I'm just going to go ahead and slide this out. As you can see, that was very simple. Go ahead and repeat the process on the other side. After that, we'll lift up on the AC condenser, removing it from its lower mounting points. We should be able to get the radiator out of here. Just lift up on this AC condenser just enough. Slide it out of the radiator. Take hold of the radiator, we'll give it a wiggle, lift it up and out of its lower mounting points. Now at this point, we're going to have to carefully contort this enough that we can slide it up and out of position. You want to be very careful not to cause any damage to your AC condenser or your AC lines. Now at this point, I'm lifting up on the radiator so I can start pulling it rearward towards the engine. Now if I was to pull away on this AC condenser, obviously I don't want to cause any damage. We're going to look all the way down at the very corner at the bottom of the radiator. Now we should be able to lift up on this radiator, we'll give it a wiggle. Now at this point, I'm going to carefully start pulling the AC condenser forward and the radiator rearward. I need to look all the way down at the very lower corner of each side of the radiator. On each side of the radiator, you should find that you have a small metal bracket. I'll point at it with my pry bar here. Now, as far as this metal bracket's concerned, it's fairly simple to remove from the original radiator. I'm just using my pry bar and I'll gently pry. It slides right out of place. Go ahead and do the same exact thing on the other side of the radiator. There we go. That's separated as well. Lift this up and out of here. Once you have the radiator up and out of place along each side of the radiator, you're going to find that you have an air deflector. You want to remove the air deflector and pay attention to which side of the radiator it goes on. It's going back in the original positioning. Now to remove this, up along the top area here, there's one locking tab holding this in, so I need to press that downward and I should be able to slide this out of place. There's my tab right there. I can pull that off. A quick inspection, as I mentioned, pay attention to which side of the radiator it goes on. We can rest that aside, repeat the process on the other side of the radiator. And there it is, friend. Now, before we install any brand new part, of course we want to make sure we clean and inspect our mounting areas. Along each side of the vehicle, down along the bottom where the radiator would sit, you're going to find that you have a small rubber grommet that needs to be removed, one for each side. Go ahead and remove the pair. Your kit came with a brand new set. Now, once you've removed both of those, go ahead and clean the mounting area. For this, I'm just using a clean rag. We'll give it a quick wipe all the way across, confirming there's no miscellaneous damage. As I mentioned, in your kit, it came with brand new rubber mounts. We'll make sure we have them in the proper orientation, align them with their corresponding ports, and slide them in. Once you have it pressed all the way in, just double check to make sure it's secured. It should be able to move around but not lift up and out of position. Go ahead and repeat the process for the other side. Now I like to add a little bit of lubricant inside each one of my ports on each one of these rubber mounts. That will help the radiator slide into position. Let's prepare to install our brand new radiator. Now we want to make sure we have it in the proper orientation, so we're looking along what would be the front. Now along each side of the radiator, you remember we do have an air deflector. I had mentioned you want to make sure you install them on the corresponding side as where you had removed them from. So we're just aligning it and we're pressing it in. We're listening for an audible click from each one of the ports. Each one of these should have a locking tab. Just double check to make sure it's secured in place. Repeat the process for each side of the radiator. As we start bringing this radiator down into place, we want to pay attention at the lower mounting points. The bottom of the radiator does have two tabs that need to slide into those rubber mounts. Now, if any of the air deflectors do become dislodged, just go ahead and slide them back into position. It should be fairly simple overall. Now that I have one side on, I'm over on the driver's side. I'm going to reattach this as well. Just slide that right on there. Now, once I do have that secured, we're going to be taking the radiator. We'll start sliding it forward towards its mounting points. We have those rubber grommets down along the bottom that we cleaned and inserted. We need to make sure that the radiator fits up against that area. It's going to slide directly down and in. Now down along the bottom of the radiator, we need to make sure that we resecure our bracket with our line going all the way across here. That's just going to slide right into this area. Mine pretty much already is aligned. I'm just going to go ahead and line it up here, press it on. Listen for a click, double check, make sure it's secured. Go ahead and do the exact same thing on the other side. It's time to start bringing the AC condenser into place. Now, if you were looking along either side of the radiator, down along the bottom, as you remember during the removal process, there's a hooked area for the AC condenser to slide down and into. As you make your way up, the upper mounting point here, this is actually an area that you're going to take the AC condenser and slide it directly in towards the radiator. It has a locking tab. It's going to hold it in the proper positioning. Now, once you do have both hooks in down along the bottom, just go ahead and roll that AC condenser in. Make sure it's locked. Let's line this up. Now, I can see I am in the hooked area on this side. I have to go over to the other side, repeat that process, and then as I mentioned, we'll squeeze this together. So I do have it aligned. Now at this point, we're paying attention along each side of the radiator. Now this is the area, if you were looking at the AC condenser, you can tell that we have this rectangular notch. That needs to fit over the locking tabs on each side, and then you're going to carefully squeeze the two together. Listen for an audible click and make sure they are secured together properly. There we are. Let's do the same on the other side. Along the passenger side of the radiator, we can see where our AC lines are. As you remember, there was a 10mm bolt in this area. Now this bolt is holding our AC condenser to the radiator. It's going to hold everything secured for us. We need to make sure we reinstall that. Start it in, snug it up. Let's just double check, make sure that's secured in place. Now we have the seal for up along the top of the radiator. You want to make sure you have it in the proper orientation. We want to make sure we have this area facing down up against the AC condenser. Looking along the bottom of this, you're going to find that you do have a groove. That groove needs to sit on this area of the radiator. Just go ahead and line this up. Once you have it aligned, just go ahead and press it down onto that radiator as far as possible. And of course, double check to make sure it does seat up against the AC condenser. Perfect. Before we go any further, down along the bottom driver's side of the radiator, let's make sure we tighten our drain plug. For this, we're just going to take it and we're turning it clockwise until it stops. You do want to make sure this is snug. After you've snugged this, let's continue on to our lower radiator hose, which is on the passenger side lower aspect of the radiator. Okay, let's get this on here. Now I'm squeezing on my clamp. We'll slide this hose into place onto the radiator as far as possible. Now at this point, I'm just going to get my clamp back in place. Let's take hold of that hose. We'll give it a wiggle, ensure it does not slide out of place. Now let's just double check, make sure the clamp's properly in place. We can see hose on both sides, and the hose does not slide off of the radiator. Perfect. Now we can start installing our cooling fan assembly. Up along the top, you have a hooked area with a locking tab. As you move just below it, you'll find that you have a second hooked area. This one does not have a locking tab. It's the same thing on each side of the radiator. Now let's get that cooling fan in place. Now before I press it all the way down to the fully locked position, I want to double check each one of the 4 hooked areas to confirm I'm properly aligned. So I do have this properly aligned. Now I'm going to press it in, listening for an audible click from each side. There we are, it drops down. Now after securing the fan, let's continue on with our electrical wiring harness. I'm going to start with my first electrical connector towards the driver's side. We're just going to take that connector, we're pressing it all the way down. Listen for an audible click from that. Now each one of these connectors does have a red locking tab, as you remember during the removal process. For this, you need to make sure that red locking tab is pressed all the way down and in. Double check to make sure it's secured in place. Now speaking of securing, we also need to make sure we secure this to the fan assembly so it does not get caught in some way. Ours is actually damaged, as you know, so I'm going to be using a wire tie, and of course I'll trim off any excess. Continue our way over, next mounting point, and of course we'll secure in that connector. Lock it in, double check, make sure everything's secured here. Up along the top of each corner of the radiator, we need to start installing our small rubber mounts. Now if you were to carefully spread these, you're going to find that one of the ears on the rubber mounts is a little longer than the other. We have the longer side facing towards the front of the vehicle. Just go ahead and slide it down on there. Now once you have that in position, you're going to find with the radiator, it came with 2 new plastic upper mounting hardware pieces. Now what we need to do for each of these plastic parts is install the brand new nutsert as well. So for this, I'm going to take it and slide it directly into position here. We can see where the mounting port is, directly in the center. Just go ahead and press it in there. We'll make sure that that port is aligned the way that it needs to be. Now since I'm on the passenger side, I can take this and slide it directly down onto that rubber mount on the radiator. Now let's make our way over to the driver's side. Got my other side here, line that up. Now I've already got my metal clip on here. Let's go ahead and slide that in. Now that I have that in position, let's pay attention to our hood release cable. During the removal process, you can tell that we still have one of our plastic brackets on the cable itself. Just go ahead and roll that to a position that you can easily slide it out of position. Now at this point, we can get this metal bracket back in place. We have to also make sure that our cable is secured into this plastic bracket as well. So as we bring this over, let's just make sure the cable's in the proper positioning here. It's going to slide right into this plastic bracket, just as I mentioned. There we go. Now we can get this upper bracket in place. For this, you're going to have to flex that front grille. We'll just start bringing this down, line it up. We can start in each of our mounting bolts. Now, before we continue on with the mounting bolts that hold the bumper cover in place, of course, we want to make sure we tighten each one of these 10mm bolts first. Those are all tight. We have our 10mm bolt for each corner of the bumper cover and of course a plastic push clip along the center of the grille. Just make our way all the way across here. Now continuing on, it's time for the coolant overflow bottle. Let's have a quick look at our cooling fan assembly. Along the driver's side, you can see that there are 3 notches. Now if you were looking at the coolant reservoir bottle, you're going to find it has 3 locating tabs. Those will each fit into their corresponding slot. Then when you slide it down, it should lock in. Here's our coolant overflow bottle, and there's our 3 tabs. There we are. Double check, make sure that's secured in place. We'll continue on with our coolant overflow hose, making its way all the way across the fan next. Let's secure this onto the radiator. Just press it on there as far as possible. Let's resecure the upper radiator hose next. For this, we're just sliding it onto the radiator as far as possible. And of course, secure it with our clamp. When installing the clamp, we want to make sure we can see hose on both sides of the clamp, and of course the hose is secured to that radiator. This feels good. Now it's time to fill the cooling system. There's several different ways to do this. One of the tools that you can use is something as basic as a coolant filling funnel. Now, of course, you will want to have the specified adapter for that. We'll take the funnel and rest it down in position along the top of the radiator. Continuing on, you're going to want to use the manufacturer's specified coolant. We're going to add coolant into the funnel. What you're going to find is that the coolant will make its way in and air will be making its way up. Now, once you find that the coolant stops making its way down, you're going to want to start the vehicle. You're going to let it run until it gets up to normal operating temperature and your cooling fans turn on. Once those cooling fans turn on, the thermostat will open, coolant will circulate throughout the entire engine, and that'll eventually burp out any air from inside of the system. Once everything's done, we just want to make sure the coolant's full. Okay, so I finished running the vehicle. It's up to normal operating temperature. My cooling fans did turn on. I can tell that I have no more air making its way up and into my coolant funnel. I still have some coolant in here. So I just have my plunger down in there. I'm going to go ahead and remove this funnel. Just clean any mess from along the top of the radiator here, and we'll continue on with our radiator cap. My cap here, line it up, turn it clockwise until it completely bottoms out. Okay, friend, we finished our installation and we finished filling the cooling system. Now the next thing you want to do is make sure you clean any mess, double check for leaks, close the hood, and take your vehicle for a road test. Thanks for watching.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.